Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Coffee, Tea, You and Me. My name is Coach Powell. This is Coffee, Tea, You and Me with Coach Powell. We do this every Friday right around the 3 o'clock hour to help entrepreneurs, business leaders, sales executives figure out ways to get in front of and attain and achieve phenomenal amounts of success. This is what it's all about. Success, success, success. Whether you are a small women-owned or minority-owned business leader or a corporate executive, you deserve all of the success that you can grab and put your arms around and bring into your universe and into your space. And as a coach, it's my job to help you get there. So we're going to talk about some of the lessons learned and some of the things we've been doing. Over the past few weeks, we've been working on a series of talks and conversations that I like to call executing with style, maximizing everything that you need to do in order to achieve the greatest amount of effort and put the greatest amount of effort towards everything that you're doing. Requires not just being able, it requires not just having talent, it requires not just having the will, it requires having the skill, the tactics, the technique, and the strategies that you need to have at the ready, at your fingertips all the time to help put yourself, your life, your business, your partnerships, whatever you need to do on the fast track and keep things moving forward quickly. This is what we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about execution, and specifically, we're talking about tactics. We're going to share with you, the difference between skills and tactics. We're going to talk about some of the things that make tactics really work well. How do you achieve them? We're going to talk about some of the questions that you should ask yourself when it comes to the tactics of what you do. We're going to give you some examples using networking and the skills required to be maximum networkers so that you can apply those same skills or very different skills that you may need to have to the tactics that you need to do to cover the things you need to cover. Now, today's show is quite an inspirational show, at least for me, because I've got some exciting things going on in my life and in my business. And I'm going to dedicate today's show to Melissa Etheridge and her production company. Let me tell you why. Because I was supposed to spend this weekend doing our live conference that we do for entrepreneurs and business leaders in the small women and minority-owned space. We're going to start the conference tonight at 5 o'clock, at 7 o'clock for the VIP section for people who wanted to come by and just hang out and socialize online with CEOs and executives at a super high level at whatever they need to do. And then all day tomorrow, we're going to get into talking about the politics, the ecosystem, the economics, the social aspects, the technological qualities that need you to bring to the table, and the legal issues that affect small businesses, but small businesses don't get a chance to really wrap their arms around these macro initiatives. I'm sorry, what I meant to say. Initiatives that affect how they do business. And I got a panel, literally a tremendous team of panelists and small business experts to bring to the table to do this conference. But we can't do this conference this weekend. You know why? Because Broadway called. Broadway called my darling dear Kayla, and we're going to be taking a trip up to NYC this weekend, to New York City, and install her into her apartment in Harlem, where she's going to be given the opportunity to work and live in the city on Broadway, doing the thing that she was, trained to do at Howard University, and really, really enjoy living in the city and working with Melissa Etheridge in her one-woman show that's coming up. It's going to be opening the very next weekend, which is crazy, but they're going to make that work. And that's what we're doing. And so I had to push the conference back. But that's good news for those of you who don't have your tickets to the conference yet. And for those of you who have your tickets to the conference, of course, we will refund those if you need them. But if not, you can look forward to coming right out to the same conference that's going to be happening October 23rd. It's going to be amazing. I'm sorry, it's October 27th. And so if you get the October 27th ticket, you can go to the Friday night excellence if that's what you qualify for or want to get to, or you want to get to the October program, the 28th, which is the all-day Saturday virtual program. It is going to be an amazing opportunity. I love to do it this weekend. Unfortunately, I can't. Had to push it back till October. Just for, because I can't be in two places at the same time, even virtually, which is, a lot of things virtual gives you, right? But it can't help you be in the same place at the same time all the time. So here is a ticket opportunities for you to get your tickets. I posted them in the chat. So if you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, you should be able to see that. If you're watching us on LinkedIn, I will definitely share that later on after today's show. You'll be able to go on LinkedIn and leverage and figure out how you get to the conference. If you need help getting to the conference, listen, I like to make sure that, we create things that are easily accessible and available to anybody who wants to come. And I got a couple scholarships that are available. And so if you absolutely need a scholarship, and you need to come to this conference, you want to be a part of this conference, let me know. My information is scrolling across your screen right now, and we'll make sure that you get your ticket to the conference. I only have a few, scholarships I can give out. So, you need to have a good reason why you can't afford $49. But, if there's something that, it's something that you seriously need and you want to have it, I want to make that accessible to you. But you got to give me a call. We got to talk about the situation and see what we can do, because we can always create leverage, right? The conference is about leverage. right? So how do you figure out ways to create more if you don't leverage the skills, the talent, the resources, the opportunities that you have with the skills and talents and resources of others in order to create what you want to create? I got some amazing business stories that I can't wait to tell you guys, but we got some NDAs in effect right now and I can't share them with you. But those people who are participating, my leverage up partners who are really a part of this conference have put their blood, sweat, and tears into, giving their ideas and sharing what they need to share with the rest of the small business community are amazing people. They're already doing business together. If you think you know somebody who should be a part of the leverage up team, definitely have them give me a call. Again, my information is scrolling across the screen. We can talk about that because we need people who are literally at the high levels of their game. I'm trying to get small business leaders who are bursting at the seams in new opportunities and need to share them with other people. That's what that's what I've brought to the table. That's what I hope to continue to bring to the table as we roll this conference out on a quarterly basis over and over and over and over and over again. I want to go ahead and put this on the screen so you guys can see it. If I ever get back to there we go. Oh, look at that. Look at that. And so, Kayla, thank you so much, Nancy, for your feedback. Yes, Kayla is doing her due, man. She's making it happen. And they know what they say about the Big Apple, right? If you can make it happen there, you can make it happen anywhere. So we're going to see what happens. She's going to be surrounded by family and friends. And so, we're taking a lot of the risk associated with living in Harlem, away from her. But she's going to be doing pretty good. And as you can tell, we're excited for the opportunity for her. Okay, after these messages, we're going to get right into the sexy stuff, right? We're going to get right into the conference. And oh, by the way, I want to post something too. Just like I said, I did this to celebrate Melissa Etheridge. So I'm going to, for those of you who are not familiar with her music, she is just a phenomenal talent, Grammy Award-winning artist. Has some of the last 20 years, she has been crushing it in everything you think an artist should be doing when it comes to her music and her passion for many communities, but specifically the lesbian community. They love her to death. And it's a really, really, really good. I know it's going to be a phenomenal show. I can't wait to see it myself. And I know my daughter's going to be working on it. She's going to be one of the associate construction, what do they call it? Company associate company manager. That's what she's going to be doing. And so and her little fellowship that she was doing for the next 6 months. So we'll see how it goes. You all keep us in your prayers and keep your fingers crossed and cross your toes and arms behind your back and do whatever you need to do, to raise up, the good well wishes and a thorough example. Okay, today, let me get into, I got to do this branding stuff before I get into the show. One day I'm going to get my act together and do this right. Let's try it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Coffee Tea with Yumi. This is Coach Powell. I am looking forward to working with you, looking forward to talking to you about today's topic. Today's topic is all about the level of execution regarding your business tactics. The things that you have to do, the assemblage of skills that you have to be able to put together on a moment's notice to truly get done the things that you want to get done. No matter what you are trying to do when it comes to achieving goals, you need the right tactics to get you there. Skills won't get you there. It's a great thing to have skills. It's a great thing to have talent. I'm not saying that skills and talents are important. We talked about that last week. But skills are only going to be a part of what you need in order to do what you need to do. You need the right tactics to really, really go where you need to go. Now, when we normally talk about tactics, most of us, when you hear tactics, you think about tactics, you're thinking about the military application of tactics. In fact, all of my favorite quotes when it comes to tactics are all coming from that particular point of view, because we learned that, battle tactics are how you win the battle. It's not how you win the war. right? But it's how you win the battle. It's how you get in front of opportunities and making sure that you reach the goal that you're trying to reach. You know, from a military point of view, you might be trying to capture a piece of land. You might be trying to overcome an enemy onslaught of some type, right? And maybe then an ambush is coming and you need to defend against an ambush, and you need to make sure that you have the right tactics in place in order to maximize your opportunities. It means everybody who has every skill has to use every skill the appropriate way in order for in tactical ways in order for the win to happen. Right? You're not going to win if you use the wrong tactics. It doesn't matter how skilled you are. It doesn't matter how talented you are, because tactics are something that is super important. I like to say that tactics pull everything together. All your skills, all your talents, all your abilities, all your capabilities can only come together and shine when your tactical strategy is a useful one. So let's talk about what tactics are and what they are not. There's a difference between a skill and a tactic. And this is the best way to think about this. You need skills to accomplish tasks. So every task that you have that you need to accomplish, there's a skill required to accomplish that task. And if you have that skill, you've acquired that skill, you know how to deploy that skill, then you're going to accomplish the task. But in order to reach a goal, there's going to be a series of skills that you have to put together. And that is called your tactical arrangement of the skills, right? So you have to really think about it. You know, if you're going to put even a shelf together, right, or bench together, you're going to construct it from scratch, right? Somebody has to be skilled enough to chop down a tree somewhere and create the planes that you need to create in terms of the boards that you have to create. There's many skills and tactics that go into just the creation of the hardwood that you have to have available that, you know, you start with, right? Most carpenters start with, they don't start with the tree, right? They start with, you know, I've got the right kind of boards and wood in place. But now you have to saw. You have to be good and skilled at some type of sawing, because you have to cut the boards, you have to shape the boards into something that you can then assemble, right? Now you have to be good at the assembly tools. Maybe you need to construct some dowels. Maybe you need to construct some kind of wedges. Maybe you need to put together the right kinds of attachments so that you can hold the structures of the boards together in order for you to make a bench, right? That's another skill. Now you have to have the skill of being able to create the kinds of, you might be using hammer and nails. You might be using screws. You might be using, you know, some types of pulleys or levers that you need to put in place in order to make sure that you hold everything together for the glue to dry, or for the wood to set, or for the stain to take, or whatever that is, right? And you have to stain it, and you have to then, you know, protect it somehow with a protective coating to make sure that, you know, it's not too abrasive, and you have to sand it and make sure it's, all those things are all different skills. But if you don't deploy those skills in the right time, in the right scenarios, in the right setting, in the right context, then guess what? You're not going to get a good bench. It's going to be wobbly. It's not going to work well. Maybe it'll have thorns in it, or nail pops, or, you know, something that makes it uncomfortable, or not useful. Maybe it's the wrong size because you didn't have the right measuring tools, or didn't know how to use the right measuring tools in the right way at the right time. So all these things are there. So why do we talk about this when it comes to that? What we're talking about here is tactics. Skills are great. You might be great with a hammer. You might be the hammering genius of all time, but you might need some more skills to put to the place to make a bench. You might be great with the saw, but you're going to need some more skills. You might be great with the finishing of a piece of wood. That might be your thing, right? You love to do the finish, but guess what? You need more than that to build a bench, right? So you have to put all of the skills together in the right way, and it's the situation that's involved to get the tactical orientation of this correct, so you can actually build whatever you're trying to build, or construct whatever you construct, or be whatever you're trying to be, right? The goal is to win. The goal is to achieve, and without achievement, without goals, then you don't even know what tactics to use. And so people often mess up and go, well, I got skills and I got goals. I'm good to go, right? No, you're not. You need the right tactics. You need to be able to put the right skills together in the right formula of skills together, and you need to, in order to achieve it tactically, in order to achieve the goal, whatever the goal is, right? Yes, it's good to have a goal, but the goal is not doable, meaning it's not achievable because you don't know how to get there, how to make it happen. Then it's just, nice words on paper that can probably motivate you, but probably motivate you to do something incorrectly, right? So what we say often is tactics are often situational, meaning that they are applied at the moment when the opportunity is now. You can't plan the tactics ahead of the moment unless you know exactly what is going to happen. What exactly the situation, the context that you're in right now. So if you don't know absolutely what all the parameters, all the variables might be, you might go in with a strategy or a technique that is not going to work because you haven't really understood the situation. I want to stress this to you. If you don't know the situation or the context by which you are trying to achieve your goals, you're not likely to come up with the right semblance of technical skills, right? You're not going to come up with the right skills in the right way because you're not going to really understand all that's necessary. Again, try to build a bench without figuring out a way to join the woodwork. It's not going to happen. You can have a goal that I want to build a bench. You can even have I'm going to do it by XYZ time. You got it all right now. You know that a bench can be built because you've seen somebody else do it, right? So you know the bench can be built. And you do have some skills associated with it. You can know how to handle a hammer, or nails, and saws. You know how to do that kind of stuff. You know how to handle sand, paper. The sand stuff. So you may have all the skills, but how you deploy the skills is tactical. And if you deploy the skills incorrectly, you're gonna make a mess. Like you can't stain the wood before you build the bench. But you don't know that if you haven't done it before. And so you'll go through and you'll try to do something out of order, and all of a sudden it doesn't work, right? And that's the same thing with every achievement that you want to have in your life and in your business. You have to have an understanding of the appropriate tactics that are required and the skills, right? And if you don't have the skills, what do you got to do? You got to find somebody who has the skills. Now, if you're not doing everything, you're into, leadership outside of leading yourself, you're leading other people. And now you're going to have to figure out a whole bunch of different things to do to make sure that they're motivated to do the things they need to do in the correct time, in the correct rhythm, in the correct, pace in order to achieve the goal at the time that you have assigned to achieve the goal, right? And so it's not saying you have to have all the skills, but you have to understand which skills are necessary and which tactics and how you're going to assemble those skills in order to get done the things you want to get done. Now, a lot of us, we're out there in business and we're out there swinging for the fences and we're trying anything and everything, and we're not really paying attention to the fullness of the game, right? And what do I mean by that? As a racquetball coach, right, I teach people how to play the game, how to do it. And I have a particular methodology that I like to instruct people in, and a systematic way of doing so, right? And those are different tactics that I'm going to help people deploy in order to be successful in racquetball. But I got to first know some things. I got to know a couple things about the person, right? I got to know, first of all, what is the end goal for you? Are you trying to just keep the ball in motion? Or are you trying to win the rally, the point, so to speak, and win as many points as you're trying to win? If you're just trying to keep the ball in play, then a set of tactics that I'm going to teach you is totally different than if you are trying to win the point. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Now, there's a difference between people who are playing in tournament level play and they're trying to win. It's a competition, and they need to win. They need to continue to win from the beginning of the tournament to the end of the tournament in order to feel like they've done something. So we got to teach them how to score points. Right? That's very important. But then there are people who just are recreational, and they just want to play. They want to work out. They want to keep the ball in play, and they want to keep the workout going, right? So those people, we have to teach them how to keep the ball in play, and that's a different set of tactics, right? But if you don't know that, and you think, well, I'm going to go out to win, and you start playing sort of recreational racquetball, and you think you're playing to win, you're not, because once you get into the court with somebody who really knows how to end the point, how to create points on the scoreboard, that's going to be a person who's going to always win. And that person's going to get bored with playing with you, by the way, because you're not bringing enough to the game in order for them to feel like it's worth their time to even be in the court with you. Because once they figure out that they can wipe the floor with you, they can figure that in the first 10, 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, it's like, okay, I might as well de-escalate my game so that I could play more recreational, because that's the only way we're actually going to make any points or anything that's going to happen that I'm going to even feel like I'm doing anything, right? So understanding the goal that you're trying to achieve is important to know so that you can come out with the right tactics that you need to employ. But if you don't know what you're trying to achieve, then you start just doing, I just going to develop some skills. Any tactic will get you there. Any skill will get you there. Right, so it's important. If you don't understand how precision matters when it comes to tactical achievement, I really don't know what to tell you. You have to understand that there might be many ways to accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish, but the most effective and most efficient way for you as a professional in anything you want to do is important. I talked to you last week and sometimes the week before last about networking skills. There are 13 different skills that a good networker is going to be able to deploy and be ready to deploy whenever necessary. And that collection of skills may be can come up with a tactical win, right? So if you go into a networking function and your goal is to win a level of commitment for somebody else or other people to have a future conversation with you that might help you in some way, shape, or form, or create a collaborative opportunity for you or them or both of you, however you want to do it, right? If you go into the meeting with that mindset, then what you say or do needs to be aligned with creating that opportunity. But suppose you go in and you have a goal in mind, but you don't know how to dress. You have a goal in mind, but you don't know how to introduce yourself. You have a goal in mind, but you don't know how to hold a decent conversation about what you do, who you are, and how effective that's going to be, right? You have a goal in mind, but you don't know how to get there. You don't know how to listen to other people. You don't know how to glean from them a simple connective opportunity that might drive a moment for the next moment. You haven't thought all that through. You don't have your business cards and you're flustered. You don't have your elevator speech well written or well rehearsed, and you get confused. All of a sudden you show up, you don't look like you want to look, you don't sound like you want to look. People can see that you're nervous and upset, or that things aren't working the way you want them to work, and that's going to let them have doubt versus confidence in you, your capabilities and your skills. And so you're not even representing your true talent in the correct way. Right? And it's very difficult to communicate the gift that you have. It takes real practice and real rehearsal and real, examination. So some things I want to tell you about tactics that are simply important for you to know, no matter what you're doing. One, you got to identify your targets, right? You have to know exactly what you're trying to get to. What are you trying to accomplish? Whether that's financing for your business or sales opportunities for your business, or, greater exposure into the community and what that might look like. You need to know what you're trying to accomplish, whether you're going to do it online, you're going to do it in person, or you're going to do it in the larger community. However you want to get your brand out there and tell your story or sell your services, you have to have an understanding of what is a win for you. What is the target? What are you trying to do, right? Develop a persuasive pitch that highlights the benefits of your product or service, right? If you can't tell people what they're going to experience as a result of working with you, the right people won't even know what to look for. Sometimes people buy products and services. I know I do this all the time. I buy products and services and I look at it, I put it on the shelf, And I thought it was a good idea when I purchased it. But, upon reflection, I really don't know how to use it. I really don't want to get involved with, I don't even want to open up the manual and figure out how to read the thing. I want to push the button and it just automatically does what I originally purchased it to do. And if there's anything more complicated than that, then I don't know that I have the time or the effort, the energy to learn how to use it. So that is a failing on my part, but it's also a failure of the people who sold me the product, because they didn't, highlight to me in a decent way, what the benefits I should be expecting to receive from this product are. If I bought a radio and it does everything, except, clean my bathroom for me, right? If I bought something like that and I don't know how to use it, then how helpful is it for me to own it? Pretty soon I won't value it. It'll be something that's gathering dust somewhere that I didn't actually use for its full effectiveness. And, it had all nice colors and bells and whistles, and did all kinds of funny stuff that I thought was cute on the sales floor or in the advertisement or whatever that was, and I bought it, right? So now, how many times have you made a purchase like that you thought it was going to be this wonderful, magnificent thing, and you're sure that it is this wonderful, magnificent thing, but figuring out how to implement and using it is a totally different thing. So you got to know how to pitch your product and services so that you set the right expectations. What will people expect to receive as a result of working with you? Not what you do or what they're going to receive, because that has something to do with the benefit. The benefit is what happens after they've received your thing, after they've sat with it for a minute, after they've worked on it or experienced it. Now, how do they feel? How should they feel? Should they feel relieved? Should they feel happy? Should they feel excited? Should they feel sexy? What should they feel as a result of engaging with you? Even if that engagement, if they're investing in you, or they're buying from you, or they're on your advisory council, or they're part of your referral circle, how do you want people to feel in working with you? Those are the benefits that you want them to talk about, and if hopefully they're good benefits, right? The next thing you want to think about is, how do you, in terms of tactics, negotiate the best price and terms with your clients, your customers, your referral sources, whatever? How do you negotiate what's in it for them, what's in it for you, and the cost? Because sometimes the cost is not actual cost. Sometimes the cost is opportunity cost, right? And opportunity cost is about how much of your time you're spending on this thing versus another thing that you might also find valuable, right? Because the cost of the opportunity the cost of that is the difference between the other valuable thing and the valuable thing that you're pursuing. And that's the cost, right? You want to make sure you understand what those are. When you're talking about tactical things, you want to make sure that you're doing at least 3 things. And I'm going to share with you the total process for tactical problem solving, right? Tactical problem solving involves a lot of different parts, right? There's one part is problem solving, it's decision making, it's observation, analysis, creativity, and adaptation, right? Tactics are based on your knowledge, your experience, and understanding of the situation and the environment, right? So if you get all this stuff right, you're going to get it right. But the 3 key things I want you to think about is, in order to know that you're using the right tactics, you've had to spend some time in observation. You've had to spend some time watching, analyzing, looking at other people who are doing what you're proposed to do. And if you can't find people doing exactly what you're doing, what are they doing that's adjacent to what you're doing? Because you need to have enough of an understanding of what has to happen, right? You need to be able to see it, or touch it or feel it or use whatever, sensory perception that you need to use to embrace it. Right? Sometimes it's hearings, because if you're music, right, if it's music, then you can't just look at it. You have to hear it, right? So what do you have to do? You have to observe it in any way, shape, or form, whatever senses you can observe or feel or understand or, hear, listen, taste, touch. You got to get in, right, in order to really understand how things are working. But the next thing you have to have is you have to be able to experience it. And when you have to try it out, you have to try it. You have to get in the shoes and run with it a little bit. Because whatever skills that you need to have, a tactical procedures you need to have, methods, strategies you need to put in place, if you haven't tried them out, you haven't tested them, if you haven't worked with them, then you're not going to be sure. You're not going to be confident. And that's really, really important for a tactical mindset, because if you're not confident that what you're trying to do is going to work, then your mind won't let you psychologically put your best effort forward. And sometimes your best effort is actually what is required to accomplish what you want to try to accomplish. Not all the time, but sometimes. And if you get used to putting your best foot forward, then I promise you get used to winning often. The third thing is the situation. If you don't understand the situation, and I mean the context by which you're doing the thing that you're trying to do, then how do you know what skills you need to use? How do you know what tools to bring to the table? How do you know what techniques are going to matter most appropriately if you didn't even know the situation, the context? So it's important, no matter what skills you have. Now, when you get this right, when you understand how to be tactically proficient, right, you're going to be better coordinated. You're going to be more precise. You're going to have more speed, more accuracy. The efficiency and effectiveness by which you do everything is going to elevate. But until you develop the tactical procedures for doing the things that you need to do, then I feel you're gonna end up in a bad spot. You're not going to be able to create, to generate, to accomplish, to achieve the things that I think you deserve to achieve. Because I think everybody deserves to be great in whatever it is that they do. But what is required to be great is more than just deciding, I'm going to be great, right? You have to decide the timbre of greatness. What does greatness look like? What does greatness feel like? What does it mean to be great? What is it going to do for you if you were to put that effort and energy into becoming great, right? And as a developmental professional, my job is to help professionals develop their professional skills, right? So they can be great. And then the tactics and the strategies and the techniques to put it together. This is what we've been talking about, right? We've been talking about tactical processes, methods, procedures. If you understand the processes, procedures that you need to understand, then you can also be open and flexible to new processes and procedures as the situation changes, or as the context by which you're working in may morph into something else. You have to be flexible. That's how you know you're masterful at your craft. That's how you know you've mastered the skills required to be good at what you do. When the situation changes, you can still do your thing, right? When the context changes, you can still do your thing. But if you don't really understand how to analyze and observe the situation or the context, then again, the skills you bring to the table are going to be marginal at best, or you're going to be guessing. You might get lucky and sort of strike gold once when it comes to your performance and your execution strategy, but you're not going to get lucky consistently and often because you haven't truly mastered the game. Now, so far, in the last couple of weeks, we talked about skills, we talked about tactics, and next week, we're going to talk about my favorite part of execution, which is technique. Yes, even more favorite than strategy, technique is what we're going to talk about next week. Now, why do you think technique is important? Let me give you a hint. Technique is where innovation and creativity happen. You see, you can be trucking along, you have the appropriate skills and appropriate tactics, and you're just going to do what's expected, and you're going to do what you can do. It's not till you master the skills and tactics that you need to master that you can then innovate and create. And when you can innovate and create in the space that you're working with at a high level, what happens is, you get recognized by your peers. You get recognized by other people. People ask you to be their mentor. They ask you to be on their advisory council. They ask you to participate, doing what you do and advising them in a way that's going to be helpful and useful to them. So I always tell people this: when somebody asks you to share your skills with them at a high level, and even if it's for whether it's paid or non-paid, the question you want to be able to answer and the question you want to be able to ask them and get answers to are all relevant to meaning. What is it going to mean to that person to be able to acquire your skills and your talents? What is it going to mean? What's it going to mean to them, and why? Because if you're doing stuff and it doesn't mean anything, it's not really relevant, you don't understand to what end it is relevant to people that you're working with or working for or working around, then it's going to be hard for you to glean any level of meaning on your own outside of your ego. I get that. It's a great example from football, right? If you are a wide receiver in football, you got to be fast and you got to catch, right? You got to be fast, you got to be quick, you got to be able to change directions really quickly, you got to be able to leap, you have to be able to catch, and you sure as hell need to be able to run. Because once you catch the ball, if you're not already in the end zone, you got to get there, right? And so that's the wide receiver. The skill set associated with wide receiver are much more than what I just explained to you. But the basic skills are right there. You got a quick start off the block, right? When the quarterback makes a snap, right? You got to be able to run fast. You got to be able to change directions and avoid the defense. You got to be open so so that the quarterback can receive you open. You have to be able to catch the ball. If the quarterback puts the ball anywhere in your vicinity, you got to be able to have what we call good hands, right? Sticky fingers. You got to be able to catch the ball. You got to be able to go score the goal if you're not already in the end zone, right? That means avoiding more of the defenders. That means using blocks and tackles, correctly. That means, stiff arming. That's a technique. Well, you guys don't need to know about that. But the whole point of it all is to be able to manipulate yourself into the end zone so that you can score a win for the team. That's a wide receiver's job. Much different than a running back, right? Much different than a tight end or a linebacker. The jobs are different. So it requires a different skill set. The goals are different. So it requires a different skill set, different tactics have to be put in place. If you get this, but now here's the thing. The great ones all have a sense of style. And that's where technique comes in. Because it doesn't do you any good to be able to just, run, catch, duck, shake your defenders, right? It doesn't really do you a whole lot of good to just be good enough. Because guess what? You're literally competing against all the other wide receivers for your position on the field and position on the field for the next team, and contract dollars when the contracts come up. How many times did you do the thing you need to do? What was the level of play that you had? And that's where your talent comes in. That's where your technique is in question. So we're going to get into technique next week. Right now, I got to start helping the little one get packed and get out of here. But it's so great to talk to you guys. If you have any questions, as always, give me a call, put it in the chat. If you have anything you want to share, you want to say, put it in the chat. Even when we're not here, even when we're not live, people can see the chat. They'll participate. People who watch the replay can see the chat. And so if you got a company or anything you want to put your information in the chat, feel free to do that either now or when we're offline. It doesn't make a difference. It's going to be there. That's the goodness of the community that we put together is we're going to be there every episode after every episode. You can engage, you can create, you can innovate, you can challenge. And I look forward to that. God bless you. I hope you have a great evening. I'm headed out to Broadway.